Hello everyone, my name is Massimiliano Leone.
And my name is Stevie Phillips.
Today, in cooperation with my colleague Stevie, we are going to be talking about a new public health issue in Australia, skin cancer. Before we begin, let's pause and reflect that we are studying, working and living on the custodial land of the oldest living civilization in the world. I would like to pay my respect of the Kabi Kabi people and their elders, past, present and emerging, for holding the traditions and cultures of Aboriginal Australia.
The purpose of this presentation is to examine skin cancer by adopting the Red Lotus Health and Wellbeing Model, which includes the holistic health and well-being of people, as well as their individual and environmental level of determinants. Our largest organ in our body, the skin, is fundamental for surviving because it protects the internal body's environment and organs from external elements, as well as regulating our body temperature. Skin cancer is caused by UV damage, which develops within the first layer of the skin, the epidermis. Excessive exposure to UV radiation causes the damaged skin cells' DNA to multiply rapidly. If the body is unsuccessful at repairing the damage, the affected skin cells continue to grow in an uncontrollable manner, eventually turning into a tumour or spread to other parts of the body via the bloodstream, such as the lymphatic system.
There are three different types of skin cancer. Both basal cell carcinoma and squamous cell carcinoma are known as non-melanoma cancers, meaning that they are benign and still reside within the epidermis. The third type of skin cancer is melanoma cancer, which is classified as malignant, and it is likely to be fatal if not detected early and acted upon.
Basal cell carcinoma, BCC, found just below the squamous, develops on the face, ears, neck, scalp, shoulders, and back, which are typically the most exposed areas to the sun. It's the most common skin cancer and in very rare cases can cause death. The incidence of BCC increases 2% each year in Australia.
Squamous cell carcinoma, in the outer layer, is the second most common form of skin cancer. It develops on sun-exposed areas such as the ears, face, neck and hands. It is caused by the long-term exposure to UV radiation from the sun. Both basal and squamous cell carcinomas are usually found in middle-aged and older white Caucasian people.
Melanoma, the deadliest skin cancer, is found in the melanocytes, which are the cells that produce melanin, within the inner layer of the skin. It occurs when intense exposure to UV radiation with severe sunburn. It mostly affects Caucasian people.
Australia has the most elevated rate of skin malignancy worldwide, with over 750,000 Australians treated for skin cancer each year, and 2,000 cases ending in mortality.
In the last few decades, the health literacy and awareness regarding the detrimental effects of UV radiation has promoted the use of sunscreen 30+ within Australian communities. The regular use of sunscreen significantly reduced the risk of squamous cancer cells and melanoma within Australia.
The geography of Australia and its proximity to the equator is a substantial influencing factor as to why individuals living in Australia are being affected by skin cancer more rapidly than any other country worldwide. Australia provides multiple climate zones, with statistics proving that Australians living within the northern states and territories are far more susceptible to suffer from skin cancer, as opposed to the residents living in the southern states of Australia.
The diagnosis of melanoma for age-standardized incidences has increased from 27 cases per 100,000 people in 1982 to 49 per 100,000 people in 2016.
Skin malignant growth represents the largest number of cases diagnosed in Australia every year. In 2016, 13,280 cases of melanoma were diagnosed in Australia, and 1,770 individuals experienced fatality from diagnosis. The mortality rate has risen from 4.7 deaths per 100,000 people to 6.2 deaths per 100,000 people.
This being said, for individuals under the age of 40, the rate has dropped from a pinnacle of 13 cases for every 100,000 people in 2002 to an expected 9.4 per 100,000 people in 2016. Between 1982 and 2016, the age institutionalized death rate has increased from 4.7 deaths per 100,000 people to 6.2 deaths per 100,000 people.
The Red Lotus health promotion model empowers health professionals to proactively put into action the arrangement of multi-systems, including the values and principles for individuals over the period of health and promotion processes. The model is categorized in three main sections: the pod, the stamen, and the first pedal layer.
Due to the migration over the centuries, the majority of Caucasian Australians have skin that is not adequate for the environment in which Australia provides. Previous ancestors of Australians resided in substantially less radiant climates, resulting in the lack of protective pigmentation within their skin, leaving the skin cells vulnerable to the risk of UV damage from the harsh Australian climate.
However, the immigrants who migrated out of Africa and surrounding regions into Australia were constantly exposed to UV radiations from harsh sunlight, meaning that they have obtained the protective pigmentation, resulting in darker skin.
Indigenous Australians are a demographic group facing extreme risk of morbidity from skin malignancy due to being segregated from capital cities, resulting in the lack of healthcare accessibility across the remote rural communities. The inequalities between Australians living both rural and regional are yet to be fully understood, as studies are quite limited.
Australian Indigenous people have an age-standardized incidence rate for melanoma ranging from 1.6 per 100,000 people to 16 per 100,000 people across remote areas. The mortality rate ranges from 0.9 per 100,000 people to 2.1 per 100,000 people across the same areas within Australia. The survival outcomes for this particular population group is strongly influenced by the opportunity and accessibility to complete particular treatments within adequate healthcare settings. Socioeconomic factors contribute substantially to the effects of skin cancer throughout rural communities across Australia, and will continue to do so as these communities are lacking sustainable community development.
Cultural views are another hindering factor towards the outcome of skin cancer diagnosis amongst Indigenous Australians, as there are multiple communicational and cultural barriers, creating feelings of isolation, fear, and mistrust within clinical settings. This results in a negative, biased culture circulating around the healthcare for Indigenous Australians. In conclusion, the prevalence of skin cancer in Australia is not only determined by the individual health status, but also by multifaceted factors such as environmental, socio-economic, cultural and spiritual circumstances. The lack of preventative healthcare measures, resources and support is evident within the Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander communities, which is affecting the overall health status across both rural and remote areas in Australia, creating a stigma around skin cancer health and awareness.
Healthcare professionals are required to recognize all cultures and ethnicity to ensure successful understanding on a transcultural basis regarding the harmful effect of UV radiation, which results in skin cancer.
Thank you for watching.
Thank you for watching.